Hey, if you're enjoying the content here at Diaspora Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds.
And vocalize and brag about getting your passports and going to these countries with to get a wife who needs a green card to escape extreme poverty. Whether you pay her family, whether you pay her, no matter what the circumstance is, she is in a dire situation. How dare you capitalize off of the fact that this woman just wants to live and thrive financially. And then you call it a marriage. That's not marriage. It's modern day slavery, and I think that it's sick. I think that it's disgusting, and all you're really doing is sifting yourself from the real divine masculines and alpha males. Because when they walk in the room, we know it. You know why? Because we feel safe. And we're not safe with you. And we know it, and that's why we're disrespectful to you. That's why we don't like you, and that's why we don't give a damn that you're going to another country to find a wife. And while you're there, get the help you need to heal your inner child, because we know that you're unhealed, that you are narcissistic, and that you're a toxic person. So while you're spending your money on your new bride, be sure to get the help that you need too. We ain't mad. We don't want you. We see you. You're not a divine masculine. We ain't mad.
Passport. Going overseas to go wreak havoc internationally. Anybody seen any videos of them at the airport? Because I haven't seen any. I ain't seen nobody boarding a plane saying bon voyage or adios or arrivederci. Passport gang. Anybody need a ride to the airport? I'm charging a low fee gas prices. That's all. Just a fee for the gas. I'll be more than happy to take you. American Airlines. Delta. JetBlue. I got the ride if y'all need to go. Where they at, y'all? Where's those videos at? Because they made such a big deal about leaving.
Can we talk about the passport bros today? When you see dudes saying they got their passport and they about to go overseas to find their wife, and you see they have the initials SYSBM in their bio, which is short for Save Yourself Black Man, those dudes are tricks. These dudes have a firm understanding that they're so socially awkward and so socially inept that they need to pay to have access to coochie. Thing is, they're so broke that they can't afford the cost of women, sex workers here in the United States. So these dudes with warehouse jobs, these are the type of Negroes that work on the line up there in Detroit in the car plants. They take their little 35, 40K overseas because it stretches longer.
Do what you do in the war. You went over there and raped a bunch of kids. You went over there and beat a bunch of people up. Oh, man. Acting like you're real soldiers for some American job. Because when it comes down to this real, if we need to run up in the Capitol, or come after the government for all the they're putting us through, it's men gonna stand there and protect who are oppressing every single one of us. Men. Ain't doing for this world and ain't done for this world in ages. Want women to sit over here and pay for your toilet paper and suck your you. Crying because a woman wants you to pay for her meals and take care of her and be a protector. Then you mad because all these women is running around here dating other women. Men. Yeah, I'm angry because y'all have created an environment that is dangerous.
Oh my God.
The earth is dangerous because men kill people and they abuse people.
That you have. Women should be FBI, feminine, beautiful, and inspirational. Now, maybe you work for somebody else and you cannot control who you interact with at work, but in your personal life, oh yes, you can. You most definitely can decide to not have anybody in your life that does not treat you with respect. You can make those decisions. And the thing is, when you carry yourself a certain way, when you treat yourself in a certain way, you will actually give yourself permission to demand the best from others. That's the key. You got to carry yourself that way. Give yourself permission to demand that people treat you with respect, address you with respect. Let nothing slide. When someone wants to insult you, call it out, call it right on the mat. Nope, your name is so-and-so, your name is Daryl. Don't let them call you D. Say, my name is Darren. My name is Daryl. Do not address me informally.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the broadcast. This is Dennis Sperling. Hit the number 1 button, show your appreciation for all this hard work that I put in, putting these clips together. I feel like I've been scouring, I have the best commercials on the internet. I've been scouring. I'm constantly spending time scouring the internet's, poaching people's different videos and adding them here for you all's morning, evening, and afternoon entertainment. I hope you guys appreciate what I'm doing. Let me know if you can hear me by hitting the number 1 button. That's the first thing I need you to do. I want a big shout out to everybody in let's see who we got in here. Urban Eagle, John Thomas, my man Volcanus. What's happening, brother? It's been a minute. Who else we got up in here? Chukwe, my brother. Hello, brother. Urban Eagle. I think I mentioned you already. Welcome to the broadcast. I want to just thank you all for showing up night in and night out for this good entertainment. We got this edutainment, as we are both educating and entertaining. So tonight's conversation is based around what we see going on right now in the culture, specifically the fact that the main body of the matriarchy has found out that the brothers are going overseas now, as if they haven't been, but they are. I mean, we had movies that came out years back, Frustrated, and I believe there's another Frustrated 2 that's out. But, I want to just help you guys understand. Let's kind of put this in context. And as you see, I entitled this, "The War is Over, Modern Men Lost, Time to Leave." And so you may be asking yourself, well, what's going on, man? What happened? What happened was the war is over. It's over. Nothing left to do. Time to go, fellas. That's it. It's over. You got all these lovely ladies speaking out against the passport bros at this point. There's really nothing we can do about it. Nothing. My thing is, where were these women who you're now giving all these black men a hard time about exercising their options and using their passports? My question is, where were you for the last 5 years? Why weren't you speaking out against those other lovely ladies who were telling black American women to abort black male babies? Where were you when they were telling other black women or referring to us as bullet bags? Where were you then? Nowhere to be seen. You've proven that you are independent. We believe you. And now we're exercising our options to get ghost. Now, before we leave or before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to everybody in the chat room. Y'all hit the #1 button. Show your appreciation. Yoga, all my guys. Y'all make sure y'all keep the chat room kosher. No trolls. It's going to be a good one. Okay? Now, that said, I want you guys to take the opportunity to check in. Go ahead and check in early now. So we want to get this algorithm going. That's the most important thing. Let's get this algorithm popping. All right. So hit the #1 button, get the algorithm going. And what we're going to do is, if I can, I got a really good one that I want to run. I was trying to run it earlier, but another good commercial. And then we're going to slide back in. But I want you guys to hear me, because tonight is a very, very important conversation, because, these entitled women feel as though they can dictate to you and tell you and what to do and shame you back to the plantation. And I'm not having no parts of it. In fact, I think you men who decide to exercise your passports, whether you go and stay, which will be a small percentage of you, or you go, stay, immerse yourself in the culture, find a beautiful woman to come back to and bring back here, or should I say bring back here, you will. And that's what we're going to talk about. But either way, this war is over. We're going to get some understanding tonight. But in the meantime, you guys enjoy this commercial. We'll be right back. Get the likes up.
I have a question. Where the fuck are our kings at?
Don't worry, fellas, I got this. They're at work right now, saving so they can get their passport together so that they can go ahead and get a wife that's foreign who has traditional values. They're at work right now, saving for retirement for one, because they don't want to take the chance of marrying a woman who can take half of their shit. You've canceled them. You've silenced them. Because either you was spouting a feminist narrative that doesn't allow men to be men, or you were silent while your sisters did and you didn't check that shit. They're effeminate because they were raised by single mothers and denied contact with their fathers. They're effeminate because you socialized them in school to act like women instead of to be men. They're effeminate because you taught them everything about their masculinity was toxic. You've turned them into women or disenfranchised them.
Welcome back to the broadcast. You guys make sure y'all hit the #1 button. Big shout out to everybody in the chat room. You guys in the wrench mob, you guys keep it kosher, man. I want y'all to make sure we got to make sure we get rid of these trolls. So here's the thing. We live in a gynocentric society where everyone, or every want and need that a woman wants is catered to, while men keep getting the short end of the stick. But here's what's happening. The pendulum has swung so far from the center towards women who have never been held accountable, who have never had their feet held to the fire, who've never had to answer for their actions, who also feel like they're beyond reproach. It took Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, to start waking them up, to start waking us up. Now, the thing is, now the men are beginning to exercise their options because they're tired of it. They want us to stay and try to find a different group of women. In other words, it's the women you're hanging around. And they say that as though this is an isolated problem, as though men haven't been complaining about the same things for the past 40 or 50 years. They want us to stay and teach the new generation of children. You can teach them better. In other words, they want us to do what the black men did in the 1970s and 80s and play stepdaddy. They're even calling upon God. They're saying that Jesus wouldn't give up on them. You know, God will save us. And, you know, here's my thing. I find it interesting how modern women often rely on God when they're losing arguments, when they have nothing else logical to say. Well, let me try this, for instance. Let me suggest that maybe you're suffering the chastisement of God. Maybe because you've been disobedient to God, because you have not been the wives that you're supposed to be. Instead, you've been the whores of Babylon. Maybe that's what it is. And maybe perhaps Kevin Samuels was the last prophet come to you with some truthful words to try to help you rehabilitate yourselves. And you didn't listen to him. And now he has gone on. And so there's no one left but the Blizzard King. And it's going to get really cold. And more important, all black men, all modern men, white men, Hispanic men, we all saw how you treated Kevin Samuels upon his death. And despite what you think, all men are going through the same things. We all see. We're all having the same issues with modern women, modern entitled women. And so because of that, we're not going to save you from the wrath of God. Here's another thing. I've been taught not to mess or meddle when God in God's business. And so we're not going to do that. So what we're going to do, men in general, is we're going to continue to stay out of the line of fire. And you know, as I said before, there's always a warning before destruction. And what you saw in Kevin Samuels was that last trumpet blowing, telling you, hey, get yourselves together. Make sure that you become suitable wives. And you didn't listen. You chastised that man. You basically worried him to death. And now he's, as I said before, no longer here. So you're left to deal with that. Some of you are saying that, you know, and I find it interesting that a lot of Black American women in the Black community who are right there with white women and, you know, in their entitlement are trying to double down on you know, on their tactics, shaming and whatnot. They're telling us things like we need to just alpha our way through this, right? They're telling us that you know, as leaders, we need to stay in the community and lead the Black community back to life. But, you know, here's a problem. The results are clear. Black American women have chosen not to be our wives. Okay. At best, you may get a reformed woman who has been promiscuous, who may have football team level bodies, but you're not going to get a wife. And what do I mean by wife? You want to play the traditional role of wife, but you're not traditional wife material. The traditional wife is someone who was a virgin before she got married. So you're far from that. A traditional wife is cooperative and submissive. And so therefore, you're not that material, period. You see? What I also find interesting is that women in general, when you're around as a man, They don't want you. In fact, they don't want you until another woman wants you. Isn't that interesting? The truth is, it's not that they want you at that time. They just don't want any other woman to have you. So what's my suggestion to you black men, modern men in general? Because this is not just a black men situation. This is not just black men exercising their options and using their passport, scouring the earth for traditional women from traditional cultures. This is a white, black, and any American man thing here. Western men, we have people in Australia who are doing the same things. Most of those guys, those Western guys are white also. So what I suggest, in addition to getting your passports, humorously, if you guys want to make a lot of money, invest in assisted living ventures, because there's going to be a burgeoning lonely old lady market, and it's about to explode. Okay. Not just in the United States, but also in Japan, Germany, South Korea, Canada, Australia, most of the Western European countries, and the UK. See, this is the problem that we're dealing with. This is the aftermath of the independent woman, or should I say, the aftermath of the 10-minute independent woman era, which has gone on for the past several decades. Now, again, I want to establish what we should be thinking about and how we should be handling this. So I'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You guys make sure you hit the thumbs up button.
I just think it's funny how the tables have turned. It used to be men with such high standards of what they wanted in a woman. But plot twist, these women are demanding more. No longer accepting the bare minimum. No longer accepting bottom of the barrel shit. We have standards now, and these men are hurt by it.
All right, it's time for Roma's daily dose of reality. Here's the hard dose of reality. Okay, you have manipulated yourself into thinking that what you have for men is high standards, but you don't. What you have is a high level of greed, codependency issues, and you've turned dating into a hustle, into a scam, a way to just get free shit. Your nails paid for, your eyelashes paid for, your food paid for, your bills paid for.
Welcome back to the broadcast. You guys make sure y'all hit the number 1 button, man. Let's keep this thing popping. I want to make sure that we keep this thing going. So hit the number 1 button. Show your appreciation for what we are doing here, because I think that we are definitely establishing a record. There's going to be a record, and the record is going to be clear for anybody who's willing to listen. And it's going to show that modern men left modern entitled women alone because they were looking for wives. That's what it's going to show. Okay. And that's what I hope. To demonstrate here, and the reasons why. Okay. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, man, show your appreciation by hitting the thumbs up button. Now, I want to have a blackety black moment real quick. Shout out to all the Kevin Samuels fans who joined after Mr. Samuels passed away. But I want to talk to you black men about some things, and this is a conversation that we should have had. Right? This is the importance of your mission. Okay, it's on us to bring back class and dignity back to our people. Okay. So as you abandon the ratchet, entitled, modern Western women, make sure when you choose wives overseas, be mindful that she will be the mother and the first teacher of your sons and daughters. Okay. So what I'm telling you is, don't go over there and bring some trashy woman back. Because trash is trash, regardless of the language she speaks and the culture she comes from. Remember, brothers, our job is to choose better. While we were here trapped in the United States, we were told this is all we had. Now you have a whole world of choices, so we no longer have any excuses. You go and you get the best high quality woman that you can find. Okay. Now, what I want you to do first, as you're on your journey, make sure you make yourself the best version of yourself and set your standards high, not just for others, but also for yourself. See, what I know is that modern women or modern men are not the problem. Modern women and their sexual habits are the primary issue. Okay. And they continue to reproduce with the same caliber of men, which is why our society is degenerating. And this goes across all levels. Unfortunately, trying to teach, and when I say all levels, I mean all races and ethnicities, okay? Unfortunately, trying to teach modern women will get you shut down, and because they don't want to hear anything. Um, and in my opinion, that's other women's job. And I see a lot of YouTube personalities talking to modern women, and as you see, I have a few clips myself of them doing it. I kudos to those women. Good job. Keep up the good work. But again, that's not our responsibility. We've done all we could. As I said before, I referred to Kevin Samuels as the last prophet because, well, he was the last one here willing to speak the truth. Now, the typical modern woman, or should I say the typical modern woman, she loves this culture, right? She loves this ratchet, anything goes culture. And so, as far as you're concerned, the best thing to do is get out, right? We need to live our lives so that we can be happy. That's it. And as far as black men, you've got to reject anything that resembles ratchetness and that ratchet behavior of all females. Okay, and this includes dating, having social contact. What am I telling you? I'm telling you, leave these women alone because there's nothing in it but poison for you. So don't date them. Don't have social contact with them. You want to limit your family interactions where that wretched mindset exists, where anytime you hear a woman say she's strong and independent and she don't need a man, just avoid her. Even avoid having conversations with women like that. Okay, just this is what I'm telling you, my suggestion to you guys, and you can follow your own, but it's just going to be unnecessarily stressful for you, and it's just going to bring you back down like an anchor. um what you want to do is isolate them, leave them alone. And it becomes a form of ostracizing them, bringing shame to them, and for the end purpose of trying to correct their behavior. So others might say, "I don't want no parts of that ratchet life," because otherwise you get ostracized socially and you get treated bad. You're basically cutting off all access and attention, finance, access to relationships from these ratchet females, right? And this is the best that you can do to change the course of their future. Now, and again, as we are moving forward with our passport endeavors, as we are moving forward and upping our standards, you guys are realizing, hey, I have options. I'm no longer just stuck living in this and existing in this socialist dating market. So I'm out. Okay. The thing is, too many times I've seen men choose women without thinking. Um, whether or not she would be a great mother. Is she educated, or does she have enough wisdom, even without a formal education, to be a good teacher to your children? Because that's important. How obedient is she to authority? Does she respect the government? Does she respect the police? Does she respect her father? Does she respect her mother? Does she respect elders? These are things that are important, right? Is she kind to others? And how does she carry herself in public? These are things you want when you begin to look for a woman, especially look overseas. Unfortunately, here, most African American and white American, and anybody who's grown up in this gynocentric society, we've been told that women are better than us for the past 40 or 50 years, which means that we're lucky to get any one of them, period. And that's just not true. All right. These modern women whose identity and ego are only possible because of their weaves and wigs and makeup and nails and their trifling conduct That's going to ruin any man who tries to make her a wife. And it's also going to ruin the kids. And they'll basically, you know, you're going to reseed that in your own children. It's best to choose a woman who is humble, who's family oriented, driven, but will also make a good wife, right? A woman who's willing to make the family centerpiece. That's who you want. Modern men need to choose better and stop being so thirsty and falling for every single female or every trap that women are setting. You know, you like her because she looks a certain way, because the media tells you that this is what you want. You young men, especially you young men in the Black community, you need to learn to reject the teachings of your single mothers who gave you advice. From personal experience, single mothers give some of the worst relationship advice to their young sons because they're trying to teach their sons to be the guy they wish they had back when they were young. You know, they it's better to listen to other men who will tell you, as the old song goes, don't trust a big button and a smile. That was a song from the 1980s by a group called Belle Biv DeVoe. Now here's something that you guys may not have thought about, and I want to address this too. When you get with these women and you have these wives and you have these beautiful children, be mindful of the names that you give your children. Keep in mind that they will grow up and grow into those names, and they will go through life with those names. Those names will be put through the test, by their unkind peers and strangers, and at graduation announcements and on college applications and loan applications and job applications and resumes. All right. And if you think it shouldn't make a difference, I agree. But if you think it doesn't make a difference, think again. So keep in mind that people are going to discriminate against them regardless. But here's the thing, and I'm sure many of you have been rejected for a lot of things. Some of us simply because of our height, color of our skin, ethnicity, because you're a man, you've been rejected, right? But I would rather you have a name that we'll call a safe name, that's meaningful, as opposed to just something that's going to cause for your children to be, don't saddle your children with these outlandish names. That's just something else I want you guys to think about. Now, I want you to check this. We're going to take another quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
So this guy has made a show of going on a date with a woman from every state. And let me just show you why he's getting a lot of hate. I think it's fair to say that my guy has a type, but here's what really makes me mad. This is the girl he went on a date with from Hawaii. Like, sir, what you not finna do? You not finna play us, sir. You not finna play us, sir. Then this is the girl he went on a date with from New Mexico, who is actually, if you look on her Instagram, from Long Island. So, sir, if you have a type, you didn't even have to go across 50 states for that. Like, you really just dated the same girl in every single state. Like, where is the seasoning? Let me know y'all thoughts in the comments, because I'm feeling like this was unnecessary.
All right, welcome back to the conversation. I've saved that commercial because I wanted you guys to check it out. Hit the number 1 button. You guys show me your appreciation by hitting the number 1 button. Let's do that. Now, I saved that commercial for a specific reason, okay? What you saw there was a young African-American woman attempting to chastise a young white man for only wanting to date white women. To me, she's overstepping her bounds, number 1. In addition to that, let me start off by saying this. I love being a Black man. And I would not deny my sons or daughters, if I had them, I would not deny my sons the opportunity to be what their father and their father's fathers were. And that's why I myself have chosen to be with women of African descent. And those are the women who's born my sons from me. Now, I know that's just me. But and at the end of the day, I hope you men get good wives, good women for wives. But let me say this. There's nothing wrong in wanting your children to know and love and embrace their roots and who they are. And that includes men of all colors. White men, black men, Hispanic men, Arab men, Latino men, Asian men, and everything in between. And that's not racist to want your children to look like your grandfather and your grandmother and your ancestors or yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't understand, well, I do understand, but you have a zealot group of women who feel so entitled that they can tell a man who he should and who he shouldn't date. What place is this for this black woman to tell a white man that he shouldn't date white women? It's no different than a white woman telling a black man that he should only date or that he should mix some white women in his dating options. They're out of bounds for that. It's already bad enough they feel as though they're so entitled, these women, that they can tell us who to date and we're of the own ethnic group. But you don't tell grown men who they should date. And it's not racist. It's not racist to want to date your own kind. It's not racist to want to date people who look like the people that raised you. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Now, again, if you decide to date out your race, I love you. I've explained this to my own sons. I suggest, hey, as an African American man, you find a woman of African descent, whether she's here in the U.S. or a woman from the African continent, a woman from South America, Central America, the Caribbean, India, everywhere where you Southeast Asia, there are women there from of African descent. You can tell by their skin color. But what I'm saying is, it's nobody's business but your own. If you choose to do it, if you choose to date out, that's fine. I love you. I want you to be happy, and that's the most important thing. My preference is for my sons and for myself, as I've exercised, is to date someone who is of their own ethnic group, because it just makes life a lot easier. It's not about race. It just makes, as things being the way they are, it just makes things easier. Okay. Now, the thing you have to understand is there's quite a bit of cultural difference between people of the same race. An Ethiopian and a Nigerian would probably say, we're not the same, even though we are both considered African and we're both black. No different than an Englishman and a German. There's cultural differences. An Englishman and a German woman, there's cultural differences in there, However, for those of us who see the culture for the one that we came from as fundamentally dysfunctional, I'm going to tell you now, life is too short to try to fight that battle and try to take control over something for which you have no power over. I don't believe in trying to maintain a culture and a group that does not have a functional network for doing so. The sacrifice is just not worth making. Here's another thing, all right? And I hope you guys understand that point. And again, I know I have white fans, I know I have Latino fans, I have Asian fans. There's nothing wrong with you sticking with the women in your own race. Unfortunately, if you're in the United States, if you're in Canada, if you're in Australia, if you are in Western European countries, a lot of these women have turned basically into entitled women. So you're going to have to go different places. If you're a guy in Scandinavia and you decide you want to go to Southeast Asia to get a Thai bride, I'd come to the wedding. I support you 100%. I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with you dating within your race if that's what you choose. And don't let these entitled women to begin to try to shame you for that. And that also goes for black men. There's nothing wrong with you dating women from of any woman you want, of course, right? Any woman, whatever ethnicities. But if you decide to date a woman who is of African descent, there's absolutely nothing that any one of these entitled American women they shouldn't say anything. You should shut them down immediately, okay? Now hit the number 1 button. I want to make sure we keep that algorithm popping. I see it slowing down a little bit. We got to get this algorithm going. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, show your appreciation by hitting the number 1 button. Okay, guys? Show your love that way. Also, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. I don't know how many people we have in the chat room, but it seems like we got a whole lot. Okay? So go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. Show your appreciation that way by hitting that thumbs up button. We got to get these likes up. Don't y'all cheat Uncle D, man. Uncle D puts a lot of work into this. Sometimes I find lately that I've been having to literally set away a lot of time, to put this. I've actually worked on this script for a couple of hours today. So y'all make sure y'all do that. Hit the thumbs up button. All right. Come on, give me some love by hitting the thumbs up button. Now, here's the thing. And shout out to all my Black Americans. Shout out to all my Canadians, everybody, all my Australians, all my folks in the UK. I apparently have a huge following in Australia. And I've yet to figure out what I'm saying to the truck drivers in Australia that makes them want to tune in the morning. But shout out to Australia. And here's another one. Apparently, the folks in Scandinavia, that's Norway, Sweden, you guys really appreciate what I'm doing. It's amazing. But hey, thank you so much. I'm glad to know that you guys appreciate this freedom doctrine that I'm preaching over here, because I think, it makes for better men. And I'm going to go off script a little bit. As a young man, I read all the Greek classics, Aeneas, the Iliad, the Odyssey, and I read about all the Greek heroes and how they would travel around the world and, do these amazing and manly feats. And I think even as a young man, I realized that was just natural for men to want to do. So, let's, if we must, let's do what our ancestors did, and let's take the world by its reins. And it's our time to travel and see what our ancestors saw, what the men who came before us saw, what Homer wrote about in his books. But either way, I digress. So back to the conversation, right? In 500 years, anthropologists will want to know what happened to the ADOS people. What happened to the FBA? For those of you guys who don't know, ADOS is a term that was developed. I believe I don't know who it was floating. It's been floating around for about 7 or 8 years, but ADOS is an American descendant of slaves. FBA is foundational Black Americans. And basically it's those those people of African descent who were enslaved here in the United States, not in the Caribbean, not anywhere else, not in South America, not in Africa, but we have our own unique culture here. And so anthropologists will ask, I believe in 500 years, what happened to them, right? And so again, my whole point of doing this is because I want to leave a record explaining that Black men and Black women were unable to get along. And so Black men went out and found other women from the diaspora, and then they had children with them, and they created their own distinct culture. So as it is right now, Black love, which is the foundation of unity in its current state, it must die. It must die because it's dysfunctional. It must die because it's toxic. It must die so that something new and vibrant can be born. See, what we're doing now is you're fighting for the same old outcomes, and it's insanity at this point. We have lost this war. Let me say that again. We have lost this war. Even the decent relationships that you had, they found their way to the divorce court. And the husbands were financially robbed. The women robbed those men of their children and their money and their wealth and their future and their legacy. That's what this system has done. I agree. These lovely ladies, they say they're not settling for less, and you men shouldn't settle for less. You ADO/FBA men, you should travel to Africa. You should travel to Central America, to South America, to India, to Southeast Asia, to the Caribbean. There are hundreds and millions of feminine women to be found who will make excellent wives for you. Now, here's the catch. And here's what I want you to understand. Passport bros does not mean you're going to forsake your American legacy. Passport bros does not note that you're going to go over there and stay there forever. Black American men are not simply just finding non-Black American wives in foreign lands and living there happily ever after with them under some other man's patriarchy. Now, that doesn't mean a significant portion of men won't go and stay, but the vast majority of these men are going to go, they're going to find wives, and they're going to bring them back here. I know personally several men who've done that. Why? Why would a well-established 45-year-old man who makes 6-7 figures in the United States go move to somewhere like Colombia, where he won't be able to make that and enjoy his house and his cars? He's not going to do that. The vast majority of these men are going to go get these foreign brides, be they from the African diaspora or otherwise, and bring them back to the United States. These same Black American men are slowly but surely forming Black American communities here in this country that their Black American forefathers fought for. And I want you to hear me out. We fought for this country to be what it is. We are entitled to both come and go as we so choose. Black men have spilled their blood on every major theater of war that this country has participated in, from the Revolutionary War to the War of 1812, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, both Iraqs, and Afghanistan. And it is because of those fighting men. Shout out to the military veterans. It is because of the history of those fighting men and their valiant sacrifices that we have advanced in this country. We give so much credit to Martin Luther Kings and all these politicos, but it was the military men and what they did on the field of battle which won the hearts of the politicians and the Americans. It's what they had to go through. So never forget that. On top of that, we built this country to a point where then others could come along and continue building. But before that, we helped tame it. Our Black forefathers did that. We were part of the engine that got this thing going. Without that our African ancestors and that labor that they put forth, that slave labor, getting this thing started, it wouldn't have gotten such a great start. And we are still here maintaining it. Shout out to the construction workers. Shout out to the truck drivers, to the engineers. Shout out to the policemen and the firemen, all you brothers out there. You blue-collar men, you unsung heroes who keep this, you guys who wear orange vests and hard hats. You guys who are up all night coming down the Continental Divide, making sure supplies get from this place to that place. Shout out to you guys. And amongst that, there's a strong contingent of Black men who participated from day one. The bricklayers, the electricians, the cement mixers, all you guys. The guy who goes down into those holes and fixes the pipes. We've earned the right to be here. Now, here's the thing. Because of what our Black American forefathers have done, we have the right to do what? Bring either our non-Black, white, Asian, Arab, Latina, whatever, women back here and create a new culture, a new environment for Black Americans. And these children that we have are going to be the products of Black American men and their non-Black American wives. Right here in the United States. Right here in some of the same old neighborhoods and territories that we originally occupied. The new Black Americans are going to be fathered by Black American men and non-Black American mothers, socializing with one another. And so they're going to be the new Black American identity, and they're going to keep what is now called Black America alive. That's what's going to happen. And to you Black American women who are listening to this, we're not your leaders. You lovely ladies have declared for decades now that you are strong, independent, and you don't need men for leadership. So y'all got it now. You're there now. You want to know where your kings went? You sent us off. I get why you would want us to come back. You made a huge and total mess of the Black community. But you're grown. And now you're going to have to pick up after yourself. So I want you ladies to keep that same energy that you had, that strong, independent, I don't need a man energy. You keep that same energy when you see these Black men walking down the street with their African wives, with their Afro-Latina wives, with their Indian wives, with their Caribbean wives, with their South American, Central American wives, with their white wives, with their mestizo wives. And you have nothing to say because you said that you were strong, independent, and didn't need a man, and you got your wish granted. Matter of fact, we're no longer brothers and sisters. You've demonstrated to us that you don't want to be our sister. In fact, we're roommates. Why do I say we're roommates? Because we're going to move into the same communities with our new wives from overseas, and we just going to live next to each other. But you have not been very sisterly to us. As far as leadership, a leader cannot lead when he has a rebellious soldier in his ranks. That soldier runs the risk of not only losing the mission, but putting the rest of the squad in danger. If you have mutiny and chaos coursing through your veins, why would anyone want to lead you, much less even deal with you? Sadly, the ladies had every opportunity to listen and communicate, but they made their choice. And so now you men have to make your choice. And in fact, they have. You want us to be your leaders now. But a leader isn't a leader if he has no one following him. If somebody tried to lead you and that other doesn't follow, what happens to those non-followers? That's not the leader's fault. Therefore, it's not the leader's responsibility to fix what they broke, and it's not their job to clean up what they made a mess of. It's up to the ones who made the mess to fix it. Unfortunately, the lovely ladies have led our children and our community to hell in a handbasket. And they will eventually blame us for that. And so I want you Black men to prepare yourselves for this. And I want you white men to prepare yourself for this. I want you modern men in these Western countries to understand that all of these women are going to be beginning to speak about how they were abandoned. That's what they're going to tell you. You abandoned us. And there were guys on the internet encouraging you to abandon us. Well, let me put this in context. You, women, were encouraged and incentivized to keep men out of the home. You received government aid in the form of welfare, and you received divorce settlements and child support payments from family court systems, both of which stemming from unfair laws promulgated by the simps that we have in government. You incentivized to keep the children away from the father and to keep him on child support, even if he couldn't afford. That's something that all modern men have had to deal with. Shout out to my man Vince Almighty. Good looking out. Thank you so much. Women have abandoned their former leader, men, to follow a new one that doesn't have their best interests at heart, and thus destroying the families. And who is that leader? Well, we see what happens. A lot of ex-wives and baby mamas ally themselves with Big Bro. Who is Big Bro? Well, that's the government of the United States, Canada, the UK, many of these Western European countries, where it's legal to keep the kids away from the father, keeping a man away from his own children. Even when a man genuinely wanted to be part of his children's lives. This is something that's going on in Canada and in Australia and the United States and all in these Western countries. They give the children to the women because that means that the women then have control. And then the men then have to pay the women child support and money, and then that does what for the economy? It bolsters the economy because we live in a consumer-driven economy, and women will spend the money. They're the primary decision makers when it comes to spending, to purchases. And so if you give them more money, they'll make more purchases. It's all been a huge setup. So when you talk about your leaders abandoning you, when you talk about men abandoning you, remember, ladies, you took it. You exercised every option possible in no-fault divorce and the child support laws, even to the point where you held men responsible for children that weren't even theirs. I find it funny how these same modern independent women didn't need a man 5 or 10 years ago. You didn't even acknowledge men as leaders. In fact, you referred to our leadership as toxic masculinity and controlling. But now all of a sudden, since we're exercising our options, white men, black men, all men, now all of a sudden you need us to stay here and fix these issues. Leaders can only fix issues when followers are willing to work with them to move forward towards the same goal. My opinion, you said you were strong women and you could do better than men, right? You said you could be leaders, right? You said you didn't need men, right? Okay, that's fine. So me and the rest of these men in these Western countries, we're getting our passports and we're going overseas and we're looking for women who are more appreciative and who value what men bring to the table, who are grateful for the men who built this world and maintain it, the men who created this monstrous infrastructure that is functioning, the men that I mentioned earlier, the truck drivers, the plumbers, the electricians, the bricklayers, the construction workers. Because despite what you think, it is not the six-figure men, the average men, or should I say, it is not the above average men, or as my good friend Kevin Samuels used to say, the high-value men per se that are going overseas. But there's a strong contingent of those men too. But it's mostly the hardworking average guys who you women think that you're better than. It's the guys making $45,000, $50,000 a year that are going overseas looking for wives. And I salute them because it's those men that keep the Western world going. See, these passport bros that you laughed at, that they worked in the plants up in Detroit, that paint the lines on the highway, to keep the plumbing system and keep the sewer system working. Well, those are the passport bros. And they're giving strong, independent, modern women and Western women just what they claim they wanted: independence, leadership, and freedom. It's all yours, ladies. You don't need us, so you got it. So why are you mad now? Why I see so many videos on TikTok and YouTube? Why you even mention it? You're on your own, ladies. I'm going to say this and I'm going to take a quick break. It's time, or should I say it like this? And many of you guys will recognize this quote. Y'all listen closely. In time, you will know what it's like to lose, to feel so desperately that you're right, yet to fail all the same. Thanos. Right. Yeah. In the snap of a finger, ladies, you've lost your men. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hey, if you're enjoying the content here at Dennis Sperling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds.
Internationally, my passport, going overseas to go wreak havoc internationally. Anybody seen any videos of them at the airport? Because I haven't seen any. I mean, I ain't seen nobody, boarding a plane saying bon voyage or adios or arrivederci. Passport gang. Anybody need a ride to the airport? I'm charging a low fee gas prices. That's all. Just a fee for the gas. I'll be more than happy to take you. American Airlines. Delta. JetBlue. I got the ride if y'all need to go. Where they at, y'all? Where's those videos at? Because they made such a big deal about leaving.
Of a black man in Thailand.
What's your favorite curse word?
Probably fuck. Probably fuck. I actually do cuss a little. Probably fuck.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope you guys appreciate what we're doing. If you appreciate it, make sure you get the thumbs up button. So, a lot of these women are complaining now, saying things like, you can't just up and leave us. We got all these children out of wedlock, right? You know, let me remind you ladies of something. Only about 20% of the men in the community, and I'm talking about the black community, have sired all these children. The vast majority of black men are either married or don't have children or aren't married. There's only about a small percentage of about 20% of men who aren't married and don't have children, or who are not married and do have children. And so, we're tired of hearing that we're bad fathers. We're tired of it. And I thank God for the internet. I thank God for this YouTube, so we're able to dispel some of these myths. We didn't make these children, many of us, and we're not sticking around to play stepdaddy. I mentioned this earlier. Stepdaddy is a thankless job, and there were black men who in the 1970s and 1980s took on all the bastard children that women created. Specifically, I'm talking about in the black community. There were a lot of bastard children running around, and those men took on that job. And this generation is not going to do it. They're not going to play that game with you. This 80% of women in the black community, you got pregnant by about 20% of those men, and that's not these men's fault. Okay? For you guys who have children, you take care of your children. Those are your responsibilities. Here, you can't up and bounce and go somewhere else, and you got kids that you need to take care of. Take care of those children when they get grown. My suggestion, hey, exercise whatever options you have. But I'm telling you guys, and if you're married, you don't just up and abandon your wife if she's a good wife. If it's not working, it's not working. Okay. But it's not these men's jobs to sacrifice their lives and their futures to save this dying and dead culture. It's not their job to do that. I blame a lot of these women say, oh, well, it's not my fault I got pregnant. If you have 2 kids out of wedlock by 2 different men that didn't marry you, it's your fault. And we need to stop, trying to hold these women's hands. Okay. More important, let me tell you something else. There's a rapper apparently out of Tennessee. He has like over 10 children with 10 different women. At what point do we begin to blame these women for letting this man impregnate them? I stopped blaming Nick Cannon for these 10 babies that he's making after the second or third one, because all of these women knew who this man was and that he wasn't marrying any of them. Okay. Now, as I said before, guys, and I'm gonna end with this, and then we're gonna open up the chat room and let you guys in. This war is over. Our fight is done. Let me say that again. This war is over. Our fight is done. There's nothing left to do but leave the field. There are no more gains that can be made. Staying around is like hanging around the court, shooting baskets after the game is already over. It's a wrap. That's not a loser mentality. That's acknowledgement that we lost. Now, the passport bros have figured that out. They're cleaning out their lockers. They're turning out the lights. In fact, the passport bros are looking to be traded to another team, a winning team. To me, that's not a loser mentality. That's a sign of self-respect. As far as all this mess that's going on in the black community and these single mothers, 80% of which are single mothers, how do you find a wife in that? When 80% of your potential mating pool already has children by somebody else. There's nothing traditional about that. Not only is she not a virgin, but she's got proof that she's not a virgin. But either way, that 80%, hey, talk to those 20% of dudes who sired your children that you're complaining about. It's not these guys' problem. The men leaving aren't that small percentage of men who fathered those 80% of children. In fact, the men who are leaving, these are the guys that most Black American women aren't even interested in. And that goes for those white guys in Scandinavia and those white guys in Australia who are marrying and dating out. That goes for those white guys who are in the UK. Women, you're not even attracted to these guys. There was a poll done on Cupid, the dating app, that says 80% of or women are not attracted to 80% of men. It's not these guys that you're attracted to that are leaving. It's the average man who makes average salary who wants a family. Those are the guys who are leaving. And these same average men who keep this country going, who keep Western societies going, they're done complaining about it. And now they're checking out. They were invisible to you anyway. So why are you worried about them? Let me tell you why. Because you know that the above average guys will not stick with one woman. They can afford to have an abundance mindset. But most men don't have that abundance mindset because they can't. Most men are realistic. If you're an average Joe, you cannot think to maintain a relationship with some above average woman. It's the same not wanting average. That's the same reason why you got so many single mothers and baby mamas in single parent homes. The same ones that these modern women are now complaining about. That's where we are. Either way, appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and open up the chat room. Hit the #1 button if you appreciate this conversation. You guys have been telling me you appreciate these monologues. I guess what we'll do is we're going to go ahead. We're an hour and some change into this thing. So y'all make sure y'all check in. The link will be in the chat room. Y'all come on in. Let's talk.
Hey, I'm about to show you something. Get enough?
A lot of the Black men deal with a lot of Latin women because they do more of the traditional things, where it's they take care of their household, they cook, they clean, they take care of the kids. It's more traditional, and it's a lot easier because most Latin women do that. They're raised to do that. And that's raised for them to do, that's regular stuff.
Real reason so many Black feminazi women are angry at the black man is because the other races of women are not corroborating their narrative about you black men. These other races of women are able to say, no, black ladies, we don't agree with you. How are they saying this? By quietly marrying more black men with every generation that passes. Meanwhile, angry feminazi black women are being chosen by black men less and less and less with each generation. How dare you get with a woman who don't consider herself a queen? How dare you have a family with a woman who respects you as a head of household? How dare you build with her to get to where y'all at today? How dare you accept what she's bringing to the table other than her cleavage and her booty? That's why angry feminazi black girls are really pissed at you black men.
Right now she and I are negotiating. I'm trying to get her to do some dances for me. Some of them sweet, sexy Latina booty dances. That's what I'm talking about. Yep, that's it.
She said she want to take some photos in her new bikini. So I don't mind being the photographer. Baby, go ahead. ¿Tú quieres fotos, mami? Ok, no problem. Yo estoy listo. Yo magnífico. Yo similar de fotográfico profesional. Sí, sí. Tú listo. Ahora, okay. I gotta turn this off and take some pictures. ¿Tú listo, mami? Ay, wow. ¡Wepa! Mami, ¿qué es lo que? Wow, wow, wow. All right, give me a minute. I'm gonna come back. I gotta take some pictures. I got some work to do. I'll get ready. Give me a minute. I'll be right back.
Welcome back. As you guys know, Uncle D was one of the original passport bros from back in the day. All right. And so when I talk to you guys, I'm not talking to you guys from a place of a lack of knowledge. I'm talking to you guys. I'm telling you, it's greater later, number one. And on top of that, save your money and go overseas, man. And this fool right here, this young lady who talked about like these women are impoverished, y'all have no idea what you're talking about. All right. These women are living well, they're living their lives, enjoying lives. And many of them don't even want to come to the United States. But again, some of you guys don't like the fact that I say that the war is lost. Some people are upset that I'm saying that you're fighting to salvage a culture which is dying. Period. That's it. It's over. There's nothing left to fight for. And you're still fighting for it. Now, I'd like to welcome some folks in here. I got some guys who I'm very familiar with, and then I got a Fredo Knows Best, and I got a Dion G here in the bullpen. So I'm gonna bring these brothers in here, and I said a lot, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. We'll start off with Douglas X. Welcome back, Douglas. How you doing? Always good to have you here. Big hand to all the gentlemen in the room here. Here's the thing, Douglas. I hear a lot of women complaining. Have you seen this video? Have you seen some of these women on TikTok complaining about brothers traveling overseas and whatnot? I have. And I thought they didn't care. right? And this apparently shows in a very dysfunctional way that they do care. But the truth is, they don't really care. They don't. They just don't want you to see what. They just don't want you to be with other women. That's where we at now. But anyway, y'all get the likes up. Douglas, you up first, man. What are your thoughts, bro?
I think the individual bad behavior of black women can destroy you in your own personal life, and then it can destroy that same behavior, destroy a nation. And like you just said, it's just like when you break up with your ex-girlfriend and she see you with a new woman. She gonna come try to get back with you and sleep with you just to destroy you and your new relationship. So that's basically what they're doing. They're saying, you know, we finna go get fine wives in the world. Cause we gotta think about it. We the American black male. We like the most wanted men, most wanted men in the world. Women.
That's what's
that's
up.
why you think hip hop spread worldwide. We changed the whole swag of the world. So of course,
even before that,
even before that, you're right, bro.
All right, cool. So Devin, what would you like to add? What you got?
You know me, bro. I started off as a passport bro, man. I was stationed in Spain from the age of 18, 19 years old, all the way to like 24. And yo, I'm gonna tell you, the black U.S. military community is ahead of us by about 50 years on this tip, man. By about 50 years. And you know, some of the coolest people, some of the coolest black women that I've dated were the offspring of black American GIs and their foreign wives.
Shout out to the military. I want to always acknowledge. I mean, I did I think, you know, I spent my first 6 or 7 first year or two just giving shout outs to the military, because in doing so, you establish on the record how effective black men have been in helping
all over this world.
So you know, we want to always acknowledge the military, man. Devin's Air Force. I know we got Navy guys, Army guys. We got shout out to the Marine Corps, Coast Guard. I mean, I'm sure we can go deep. You know what I'm saying? But big shout out to the military guys, man. Without you guys, our civil rights movement wouldn't be as effective as it was. Who we got next? We're just gonna do a quick round. Fredo knows best, man. What are your thoughts on this conversation?
Yo, bro, listen, you did an amazing share. I loved it. You're so true. I tell my friends that all the time. It's getting to the point where I was telling my boy, I was like, listen, man, just stack your bread and literally go see an escort when you want to have a good time. But at this point, I'm on a demon retention while I'm in America, and I have my fun outside of the country, because it's sad right now. It's a sad state of emergency we're in.
Why do they get upset when I say this war is over? It's over.
It's over. It's over. I just told my mans that the other day. We're finished. We're finished. You know what
I
mean?
got an 80% out of wedlock. Is it 80? Is it 70% out of wed? 70% single mother rate. You got an 80% obesity rate. You got 80% of the children being fathered by 20% of the 20% of the men. How is that other group of men going to find suitable wives unless you want to play stepdaddy?
Not to mention, most of them are seeking arrangements, some kind of future back page. You know, if you go look at it, it's a pandemic right now, and I tell people that all the time. Just stack your bread, go to these countries, and you'll be good to go.
All right, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
What's going on, gentlemen?
We're going in line. You gotta wait. It's not your turn yet. Dion, thank you so much, Freddie G. Dion, you gotta hold on.
My bad.
Okay, all right. Dion G, what are your thoughts on this conversation?
The thumbnail really caught my attention with the Afro Latina. And if you look at it historically,
go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
If you look at it historically, just across the border of the United States, on the southern border and going into Central America and Mexico, most of us have seen the giant Olmec heads, the brothers with the helmets. And we have pyramids all the way throughout the Americas, throughout Mexico, Central America, South America. These were the kings and the rulers of these American continents. So it's only right that we historically begin to start traveling and beginning to go back into these areas that we once had kingship and we have blood lineages in. It's just time now for us to start bringing things back together. You know, what we call in Spanish is also can be called Moorish Latin.
Well, see, the
So-
thing is, here's the thing I need you to understand. When I look at that woman and I look at that man, that you can't tell who's Black American and who's not. They just look like two Black people. And so because we're dealing with a lot of people who've never actually traveled overseas, they don't know that these folks who we say are foreign Blacks, they look just like the rest of us. And when you talk to white dudes and white women, like all y'all look like one big Negro to me. You see what I'm saying? So what's the point? We're the only ones that drive these divisions between ourselves. But anyway, let me see what Detroit Siggy. Okay, Detroit Siggy, what you selling, bro? You got your cologne out there, man. What's happening? Talk to me.
Nah, you know what? I ain't selling nothing, young man. I believe, my theory is that in 1967, Lyndon Baines Johnson signed the Welfare Act, which the Black man out the family photo, gentlemen, which gave the urbanite. Listen, that the Welfare Act absolutely ruined the African American family. Where I am right now in Detroit, there were thriving African Americans, millionaires. Okay, here in Chicago, Detroit, Philly, New York, all the major cities, African Americans prior to the Welfare Act lived great as conservatives.
Right. But let me add something else. So just so we understand that the government is not anybody's friend, the government did the same thing to white families and other folks with no-fault divorce in the 1990s. They basically incentivized women, they financially incentivized women to push the man out of the family. And that's something that we talk about too. No-fault divorce. Before that, in the 50s, and I don't know your age, Detroit Siggy, but if you remember Detroit back then, you probably remember before that, the children would go with the father. So this was a true patriarchy. But after that, the children went with the mother. So again, the government has an incentive to make sure the women get the children because we live in a commerce driven. Go ahead. We live in a society that's driven by commerce, an economy driven by commerce. Let me finish. Hold on. If you give the money to the women, they'll spend it. But we're gonna open up the panel for everybody. Detroit City. I know this is your first time here. Everybody's gonna get a chance to speak. I'm just letting everybody come in and say a few things first. Pharaoh Ishmael, welcome to the broadcast. What would you like to add before we open up the panel?
Peace and blessings, brother. I would like to speak on the fact that like due to me being a part of the Black Muslim movement, we have a term for the people who like are basically too far gone. Like when you said the war is over, like those are basically like people who are just like, we don't expect everybody to survive the war of white supremacy or the war of like the governments and stuff like that, or the powers that be in the Black community. That's why like there's certain people, like when you see people that get butt injections, you think about how, and like get fake boobs, you think about how they will look when they turn like 60s, 70s, and 80s, and you know that they're going to look a hot mess. So like,
yeah, I think when you say you're a Black Muslim, are you talking about the Nation of Islam or some other Black Muslim? All right, and even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said you got to separate yourself from those people.
Yeah,
because and that's all you see these men doing. The Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, what did he say? Africans for Africa. He was telling you to separate yourself from your people. We get it. But unfortunately, we got so many simps in the Black community, white community too, because I've told white dudes on my page, y'all are some of the biggest simps on the planet, and Black dudes are right behind you because we've let our women run what we built into the ground. So all men share in this burden. We are simps. We are built to be simps. We are soft, and until we get ourselves together, nothing's going to change. But we got one more person, Dion G, and then we're going to open up the panel and let everybody speak freely. Dion G, what would you like to add to this conversation?
I was just saying earlier that I think it's time for us to get to traveling around this particular continent of the Americas, because historically we've been up and down this continent. Because you can see pyramids all the way from America and down into Colombia, Ecuador, and everywhere else. But it's just that we've been roped in historically for the last, I would say, 200 years, and we're only used to being in America and seeing ourselves in America. But those women, they grow up seeing those Olmec heads down there in Central America.
Yeah.
And they know what the image looks like. And I think it's just time that we've grown too big as a nation. There's 50, 60 million of us, and we got to spread out. So it's time for us to start jumping the border and do what we once used to do. You know, we're the same family, we're the same tribes, all these different wars that have going on in America, from the Mexican-American War to the Civil War, and then all the earlier Indian wars when colonization started. We were traveling up and down throughout the Americas. It only stopped recently in the last couple hundred years, and we need to get back to it to solve some problems.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You guys get the #1 button and hit it. And then also make sure you hit the thumbs up button. We'll be right back.
I have a question. Where the fuck are our kings at?
Don't worry, fellas. I got this. They're at work right now, saving so they can get their passport together so that they can go ahead and get a wife that's foreign who has traditional values. They're at work right now, saving for retirement for one, because they don't want to take the chance of marrying a woman who can take half of their shit. You've canceled them. You've silenced them. Because either you was spouting a feminist narrative that doesn't allow men to be men, or you were silent while your sisters did and you didn't check that shit.
So today I'm talking to you about this trend that men, Western men, are looking overseas to other countries for women, because the women in Western culture have been poisoned by toxic femininity. They are militant with their feminist ways. They can't even appreciate a compliment from a nice gentleman. You see, you say, "Hey, beautiful," to me, and I'm going to wink and smile. But these girls can't handle that. So men are going overseas to find love. Where in the world are they going? Is it Indonesia? Is it South America? Where are men going?
All right, welcome back to the broadcast. I appreciate having everybody in. So what we try to do is we try to open up the broadcast and just have a open conversation and let the guys talk about it. Generally, we're talking about the issues that modern men are dealing with in Western countries, whether it be the UK, Australia, Canada, what they're dealing with in Western European countries, what they're dealing with in Australia, because we're generally dealing with the same things. And of course, both black, white, Hispanic men we all have our own cultural issues, but for the most part, there's a lot more that we can learn each other. But as far as I'm concerned, as far as in Black America, this war is lost. And there's something that Detroit Siggy brought up. Is that Detroit? Did I say that right, Siggy? Is that
Yes.
Siggy? Is that correct? There's something that he brought up earlier, and he was talking about Lyndon Baines Johnson. And basically, when he signed that Welfare Reform Act and basically said, hey, you can have a man and you can have money. Okay, we'll give you these few nickels, but you got to get rid of that man. Here's the thing. Oftentimes, African-American women say, well, we didn't have a choice. But then I look at our Latino comrades, and they were presented the same choice, but some kind of way, those Latin women decided to stay with their husbands, and they made their way through. They were dealing with the same things generally. So we'll start off. Douglas, Devin, you've been here earlier. Devin, what would you like to add on that?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I think the resulting culture, the blend between the brothers that are bold enough to travel and the wives and the families that they form with these wives is going to be an addition, a very positive addition to the American Black society as a whole, man.
That sounds good too. Now, let me see, Douglas. You mentioned some. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, I talked for about 1 hour and 15 minutes in that monologue because I think it's important to stick a pin in this so that we can have some sort of record, and so we can kind of all get on the same page as related to this rhetoric that we see coming in from these ladies. All right. What are your thoughts? Go ahead. What are your thoughts, Douglas?
I think that we are holding them accountable, and they are raising our children. You kick the man out of the house to raise our children, and you raise them wrong. Now, a child raised by a single parent only hurts the child. And who originally made us cold-hearted? It was the mother, and she was disciplining us based upon her moods and not our actions.
Okay.
And this destroy our culture. You've been the head of our culture. Whoever raised a child, basically head of the culture. So if men in general is not raising their children, then if you raise a dog to bite and it bites somebody, hey, you responsible.
All right, Fred, you've been quiet over there, man. What else would you like to add to this conversation? Then we're gonna go to Detroit Siggy.
Yeah,
Detroit Siggy, what are you rolling down there?
A Stiggy.
Devin, we got another one of you up in here. Y'all,
man. Listen.
We got another one. Anyway, man, Fredo, what do you got to add to this conversation?
That thing, man.
No, you're definitely correct about that. My main thing is when we do go to these countries, I see a lot of brothers going for the same trash that they would kind of get here.
Right.
So that's something very, very important. Build yourself to be the top level, Start doing some push-ups, exercise daily, get yourself together, dress nice, smell good, groom yourself. So when you go there, you're getting the top, the top pick. I definitely tell men, focus on semen retention while you're here. So you're not going to go there like a dog with his pink thing out, looking for anything you can get. You know what I mean? Have some, discernment when you choose a woman. So, and then they're watching you because you're the only American most of the time in a certain, square yardage. So they're watching how you maneuver. So don't just go for any trash because you don't know. You see what I'm saying? So take your time, pick wisely. And once you do that, you're going to get the upper echelon of the women. So definitely look into that.
I want to talk to Detroit Siggy because he knows some things that many of you guys are too young to know. Detroit Siggy, about how old are you, buddy?
Young man, I am 43 years old.
All right. So you grew up in Detroit, right? And you're talking about the millionaires and the class. How did they used to dress when you were a young man? Like, and maybe that was too young, but no. Let me lay the foundation. My son, he's 12 now, and he had a question. He said, "Daddy, I look at these old movies. I think we were watching what's that movie with my God, Red Fox. You guys remember Red Fox? Sam, for some of you guys are too young for Red Fox. My God, basically it was this old movie, these old gangsters.
Harlem Nights.
Harlem Nights. That's it. Damn it. I can't believe you got that before me, Detroit Siggy.
How the white boy get that?
Well, look, the thing is, he said, Daddy, how did we go from dressing like that to where you see the men walking around with their pants sagging down off their pants? So Detroit, what was it like for you? Or maybe you have some family members that are a little bit older than you that lived in Detroit. What was it like in Detroit, let's say in the 20s and the 30s?
I'm not that old, young man. I was born, I'm an 80s baby. But, listen, there was a social standard in America 50, 60 years ago. You had to look presentable, right? Your first appearance is ultimately that of which one is going to remember you by. The way you look, the way you smell, the way your hair is, what you're wearing, how your shoes look, the way you speak. And unfortunately, today's culture, and I'm going to be frank with you guys, let's blame it on hip hop, bro. Gentlemen, let's blame it. Let's blame all this.
I think we can blame it on the drug culture and the gang culture. And hip hop was more.
That all comes with the street culture. Well, what do you think they're preaching on the radio?
Yeah, I'm very familiar. And so the thing was, the hip hop artists took that culture and then they made it mainstream, and they were rewarded financially by these big corporations for selling that bad boy thug image to the rest of the country. But it comes from gang culture, it comes from drug culture. And I don't know if you're around at that time, because I mean you're a little younger than I am, but the drugs were brought in from overseas to specifically target what the CIA saw as a threat, and that was the rise of what they call the Black Messiah. So we get the fact that the drugs were brought into this country, Well, I mean, yeah, but we get the fact that the drugs were brought into this country. But here's the thing: it's all come to bite everybody in the ass. Because what our government didn't realize is that whatever you do to one group of people is eventually going to make it around to everybody else. And so, you know, it's karma, so to speak. But you did point out something. Here's the thing. You heard what Detroit Siggy said, and I have to agree with him. How we carry ourselves, how we appear to the public. Now, I don't just believe in doing it for what other people to please other people. I believe in doing it for myself. How you carry yourself as a man says more about how you feel about yourself as opposed to just how you want other people to perceive you. Pharaoh, you are in the Nation of Islam, or you one of the Black Muslims. Don't they have a dress code in there when they take guys in and clean them up?
Yes, they do. Like basically, they want their brothers to look presentable. We even have like a hygiene code. We have a dress code. We have all types of codes for basically for both men and women to follow, because like they want their brothers to have value and a standard. Like that brother Fredro knows best. He was right when you said like he was right when he said that when you go overseas, you got to make yourself like you got to make sure you're in shape, make sure you're presentable, and make sure you're also make yourself elite, because like a lot of people they will go over there looking any kind of way and thinking like a woman would just magnetically come.
Here's the thing. It's not, to me, it's not just about how you look. It's about, are you respectful? You see what I mean? See, respect how you carry yourself. Are you courteous to people? You see what I'm saying? Let's not just, it's because you can be dressed up in a 3-piece suit and still be a clown. You know, you can still be a jerk. I'm sure we've seen well-dressed jerks before. But do you respect these people's culture? Do you recognize that you're a guest in their country? You see what I mean? That's something else that I think is important. We got somebody new in here. We got Curtis, DeAndre, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We'll come right back. You guys hit the thumbs up button. If you're enjoying the content here at Dennis Sperling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds.
This breaks all sociological orders of the culture we're living in now, because we are raising up women to be men. And you are not applauded for your femininity. You are applauded in the contemporary society by how tough, rough, nasty, mean, aggressive, hateful, possessive you are, and you are.
I saw you in there rolling weed, Siggy. I saw you, Siggy. Put it back up. We saw you. Man, Siggy's in here rolling fat ones, man. What's
no shame in my game.
With the preacher on, man. But anyway, welcome back, you guys. I hope y'all appreciate the conversation. That's another one. I caught Devin. I caught somebody drinking. Man, I got another one on here. Hit the number 1 button if you guys appreciate what we're doing. Curtis, DeAndre, Clutch Cook, welcome to the conversation. What would you like to add to it, sir?
Okay. Thanks for having me. I'm Dennis, longtime follower. I haven't been on in a while though. And thanks, fellas, for having me on here as well.
Yes, sir.
I'm going back to the title, what you put in when you're saying the war is losing. And I think what everyone is forgetting is that brothers did not know they were losing until YouTube started featuring real-time people on location. Before then, all the talk was just talk. All the rumors was just rumors. One word didn't mean nothing amongst the others. But once YouTube started showing real time on location, here I am today, here I was last week, see me in the background. She is real. Look at her talking. That is the location that I'm actually at. This isn't a green screen. Most of us had no idea we were losing to the extent that we are right now. Even those with passports that have done some traveling still did not know they were losing, because now they're looking at other people at locations that they weren't at saying, whoa, I might have been in DR, but I didn't know Brazil was like that. I might have went to Thailand, but I didn't know he was doing that even in Europe. I might have been here in the military, like Devin said. I've been here in this location, but whoa, I didn't know they were doing that in Ecuador or these locations. So a lot of us, even those who have traveled, like some of us, still had no understanding of the level of how much we were losing, and especially to those who just don't travel at all.
But here's the thing, brother. I'm not saying we're losing because we're missing out on women. We have beautiful women here in the United States. I would say that some of the most beautiful women in the world have been to the United States or in the United States. That's not the issue. The issue, in my opinion, is the culture, and specifically what's germane to the Black culture in the United States that we call, I believe the new term is FBA or ADOS, which is still the same old Black American folks that can, you know, your mom and daddy and them from Mississippi and Alabama and Florida. You know who I'm talking about. Okay. But every decade or so we change our name. We went from colored to Negro to Afro-American. We've just changed our name up so many different times. But here's the thing. We didn't realize that the disrespect that we were dealing with, the out of wedlock birth rate, the women who treat us as though we're son husbands, as though we're utilities. We didn't realize that, you see. And so now at this point, it's gotten so bad. And on top of that, you know, the women these are not the women that our fathers had. I mean, how rare is it to find a woman who's a size 4 or size 6? My grandma was 120 pounds for the majority of her life. It wasn't until she got older that she gained weight. I dare you go in a room full of our women and our lovely ladies and find a woman, find 20% of them who are 120 pounds, a size 4 or size 6. Very rare that you be able to do that. So it's not this year we're losing because the women look better. It's because they're more feminine, in my opinion. That's what I'm thinking. But go ahead, Clutch, because I cut you off, and then we're going to go to Sir Him.
No, that was fine. I appreciate that point as well. But I think, speaking of culture, Black men in general were so busy following that program where you measured yourself by how well you could break through the barrier of a difficult or strong woman to get her on your side. We were so focused on the fact that, oh, I got it going on, because no matter she might have been disrespectful or not open in the beginning or did not see me as that, if I'm able to break through all of that, then that's how we were measuring ourselves. That's how we were taught technically to measure ourselves on how you could, you know, did you have all the pieces together to be able to break through that and still get that woman, that we weren't paying attention to all the other stuff that you were talking about, that, whoa, I'm breaking a barrier. I'm fighting a woman that is not fighting to keep herself in best shape. I'm fighting a woman that's not fighting to give me the same respect back. I'm fighting to all the things that all of y'all are saying. We were just focused on, you know, so busy. You know, I don't care if she's not smiling. I'm going to still make her smile. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get with her. I'm going to make her see me or make her do all of that. And that was our focus instead of the stats and what was going on around us and all the stuff like that as well. But a lot of us were really taught that way as far as, you know, how to measure yourself as far as, you know, dealing with can you attract or whatever a U.S. woman.
And so you just drove home basically what you're saying is we were credited for our ability to be able to handle and tame these women.
Right.
That's what you're saying. And so sometime this week, I'm going to have a discussion about how masculine men are attracted to feminine women. Okay. And masculine men are not attracted to masculine women because opposites attract. That's going to be a conversation we need, because we've been brainwashed to believe otherwise. You're not horse handlers, fellas. Sir Him, what would you like to add to this conversation? Go ahead. Sir, you got to unmute yourself, Sir Him. And I got some other folks who are here. I'm gonna go ahead and click a couple people out and let some other people come in here, because we got a line of people trying to get in. But Sir Him, go ahead. Detroit Siggy, what else you got to say before I'm gonna let some other people in here? What else you want to say?
Well,
aren't you selling cologne?
No, I sell cologne.
All right.
I'm going to go back to what you said. I'm going to go right back to what you just ended with. Most women are narcissistic sociopaths. So they don't want the alpha. They want the beta. They want to control your mind. Okay. They're not looking for a guy to change the tire, right? Most betas can't change a tire, right? They want the alpha on the side. They want the beta as their married husband.
So what Detroit Siggy is saying, beta bucks, alpha Fs. That's what he's saying. We get that. We get that. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Sir Him, what would you like to add to this conversation?
Well, for me personally, what I would say as a regular dude that makes regular money and has had the regular black men experience in the US, I would say everybody just get your passport and step outside to see what real life is like.
Right.
Because for me, I think that in the US, which most people call the Matrix for a reason, is because it gives a distorted view of the world. Poor people here are not poor. Entitled women here are entitled for no reason. They do nothing, they offer nothing, they give nothing but headaches, bills, and then more bills on top of that. Most of the time they give other people's kids.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sorry?
No, I was gonna say, but most men don't mind paying bills for women who are worthy of them paying and sacrificing for, right? I mean, don't let me just take a poll. If you had
Can I make one more comment?
Well, let me let Sir Him finish, because my thing is we want to sacrifice if we're getting what we're supposed to get. You're getting the respect that you deserve as a man, respect
And that's
that
what I
our
was about to get
grandfathers
into.
got, then you don't mind doing it. You know, I think I can speak for most guys. If you got a respectful wife who's cooperative and gives you what a man is supposed to get when he comes home, then you don't mind sacrificing. But when you got a disrespectful woman who's out of pocket, calling your names, you know, talking bad about you, who wants to deal with that? I mean, I think that's been how it's been, but we just got to recognize that that's not wife material. But go ahead, Sir Him, and then we're gonna go to a couple of other people here.
Yeah, absolutely. What you just said is exactly where I was going to get into, because I was watching a stream from I forget his name, but it's like Now We Talk or something like that. And it was him, Courtney Michelle, and Eat More. And it was another gentleman, I can't remember his name at the moment, but they were getting into the whole soft girl thing that's been coming up recently and YouTube and all of that. And what Courtney Michelle was arguing was basically like, if you're getting the same thing, what's the problem with it? And I left a comment there, and what I left was, it's the intent.
Right.
Just because you're doing the same thing and the same outcome occurs doesn't mean the intent for that outcome was the same. And the example that I gave was murder versus self-defense. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, we killed the person, this person died, but did I murder him or did I just protect myself?
Right.
In the case of the woman, it's like, is she doing this for herself so she can maintain herself and live her life? Or is she focused on making sure I can do what I need to do to make sure that this family is maintained and these kids can grow up and be successful in their lives? Because no man cares about being used. We already know we're going to be used. We accept being used for our kids, our legacy, and sex when we want it. You know what I mean?
We're about 2 generations beyond the young ladies having access to a living, working model of a functioning patriarchal family.
And for that, what I would say is, we all, black, white, and whatever, we all become colonizers again. We explore outside this country. We find women who are more suitable, and the women that are here who think they are entitled, let them be by themselves and die off.
Right.
What we can do is we can instill culture in women elsewhere and have American money elsewhere to where they can live comfortable. We can instill our values. They can have our culture, even though they're in a different country. But we don't have to deal with the bullshit.
I want to hit a quick point. So, like, I showed you guys this commercial earlier. It was this black American woman chastising this young white man Let me let y'all look at this. We'll be right back.
So this guy has made a show of going on a date with a woman from every state. And let me just show you why he's getting a lot of hate. I think it's fair to say that my guy has a type, but here's what really makes me mad. This is the girl he went on a date with from Hawaii. Like, sir, what you not finna do? You not finna play us, sir. You not finna play us, sir. Then this is the girl he went on a date with from New Mexico, who is actually, if you look on her Instagram, from Long Island. So, sir, if you have a type, you didn't even have to go across 50 states for that. Like, you really just dated the same girl in every single state. Like, where is the seasoning? Let me know y'all thoughts in the comments, because I'm feeling like this was unnecessary.
So here's my problem with her. First of all, I don't have a problem with somebody. First of all, why are you chastising a man for dating a woman in his own race? You see what I'm saying? And unfortunately, and I'm glad we got Ziggy here. Ziggy, you are a designated white
She's a
person.
divester.
Yeah, she is. But Ziggy, I want you to look at this. This dude, right? He says, "No, we don't. You're not." Basically, this black woman came on this Twitter page and basically said they're all gonna go get white men. These same modern women that black men are saying we're having too much problems with, as if white men can't see for themselves what black men are dealing with. No, we don't. You're everyone's last choice. Even then, we would rather be single. That's how this is not all men see the same damn thing. And I don't understand, and I don't understand why black American women think white men who we play football with, who we go to sports events with, don't see the same thing. They can't see what we see. And it's almost like they thinking they have no game. Detroit, I need you to come back here. Zig, what are your thoughts on these? And what are your thoughts on black women basically saying, well, since you black men are running off, we're just gonna go get us a bunch of white men. And I don't know your ethnicity. I may be wrong. You could be Latino, you could be Italian, you could be Jewish. I'm just making an assumption. I don't know what your ethnicity is, but what are your thoughts on that?
Can I be extremely frank on here? I mean,
well, don't go full clan on us. Okay, but yeah, be honest. Go ahead.
Well, I'll be frank. Only thing that really separates us, I'm gonna say, is the equator. You gentlemen are just a little bit closer to it than I am. Okay.
Well,
as far as
Canadian,
I'll say this.
We're at the end of the day.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead and finish, Detroit City.
Okay, so I believe that the black woman in America never had a father. She never had discipline in her life, right? And this is why you get reactions like this. Do you see how she was talking to her alleged boyfriend, whoever the victim would be in that case scenario?
Yeah,
this
was the woman who said that she demanded a $200,000 engagement ring, and she was gonna get a white man to do it, and like as though white men are stupid, like they can't see what the hell is going on. And so I'm like, here's the thing. And let me take a quick break, and we'll come right back. You guys, y'all make sure y'all hit the #1 button because we're about to wrap this thing up. We're almost 2 hours in. Y'all hit the #1
I had
button.
the best 3 years of my life in prison.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting for you to say that, bro, because you had millions.
I had peace, though.
Over the $30 million for one fight? Jay-Z's lying.
Hey, listen, can I tell you something? That don't mean nothing when you don't have your peace, your stability, your balance. You don't give a fuck. You don't even want it. You want to give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
You need your sanity to dictate any part of life. Because, God, I always tell people, God punishes you by giving you everything you want. See if you can handle it.
All right, I appreciate you guys. We almost 2 hours into this thing, and I've been trying to keep all this stuff under 2 hours. Here's the thing. We hit a lot of good points. We're going to continue this series. I want to thank everybody who came to the chat room. Douglas, Devin, Fredo Knows Best, Pharaoh Ishmael, Dion G, Sir Him, Curtis, DeAndre, and Detroit Siggy. Thank you guys. I appreciate y'all. We're going to continue this conversation because it needs to be had. We're going to make sure we lay out our points and the reasons why we're making the moves we make. But in the meantime, this is Uncle D. I appreciate you guys. I'm out.
Peace, y'all.